Welcome back, everyone. Well, I hope you liked that little sneak preview today, as we are at the range shooting the C7 working in the Canadian Armed Forces. Me, as an artillery reservist, we don't get a huge amount of exposure to more technical or fun shoots with our small arms service rifle. The C7 is something that I've used now for up to 7 years, stepping away from my previous British Army military career of 8 years with the C79A2 bullpup, so it's still, to me, getting used to the ergonomics of it. I've always been sort of linked the bullpup design, but, you know, the C7A2 is a fantastic service rifle, but I'm just not fully aligned to doing sort of, I guess, dynamic ranges like we're doing today with this rifle, and it's really good practice for me. I had so much fun this weekend with my local unit and some units that came from our brigade to come enjoy this range that the Corps staff had set up for us. As you can see, it's a bit more technical than what we usually do with just a standard 100 or 50 meter shoot. This is a dynamic shoot, so we're doing sort of obstacles, and it is timed. So the rules of this obstacle course really is that we're going to be going to multiple different setups. As you can see, the initial table is kind of, you know, you're stood to, you sat down, you get up, you put your magazines into your pouches, you load the rifle, you make ready, and you go straight off to the first set of targets, which is 2 and 3. And the numbers indicate the lanes of which you're shooting on. It is 2 rounds at each target as you go up to each of the firing points. There is 1 point which has 2 targets that you fire at, which means 4 rounds total, 2 at each, 1 firing on the right hand side of the obstacle and 2 on the other side as well. And then you transition into the prone position. So you're getting a whole multitude of different firing positions, different opportunities to shoot. You could see in the first run that I did, a little slower, in all honesty. I did a better run afterwards, and I learned that the transitioning from my left and right arm, even though using full cover of that pallet that I use at the second station, is not ideal. You know, it's not the best way of doing it, I found. And on my second run, I was a lot faster. So let's go through a little quick run through of what the range is going to entail, and then we will talk about my better run through as we did afterwards. But before we get into the more juicy range action, let's talk a little bit about cleaning our rifle. Yes, it's something that we never enjoy doing, but with the incredible tools that are provided from No Half Measures Design from Breach Tool, this is going to be so much easier. They were so kind to send me another set of unique Breach Tool equipment to allow you to clean your service rifle or your own home personal weapon systems you may use for sport shooting, things like that, that can be used to really get into the nooks and crannies that other tools can't. And I've done a video on the Breach Tool specifics and how they operate and how it works on another video. I'll put that in the description box below and on screen. But they're also kind enough to send me their new lanyard, their attachment point piece you see here, the additional heads, the cleaner heads, which are really, really useful of getting in the breech of your rifle, and the specific tools you can see there, including this beautiful multicam cleaning kit, which is absolutely outstanding to put all your bits and pieces inside of there, including that bore snake, to allow you to clean your weapon system carefully and effectively. Of course, we are in the combat trade in the artillery, not specifically doing a huge amount of rifle cleaning, but when you do want to get down and dirty to using this piece of equipment for your small arms, and maybe not so much the C3 howitzer of 105mm variant that we're using, but this kit is really versatile, fairly small in the grand scheme of putting all your equipment in there, including extra pieces or equipment you may want to put in for your cleaning kit, including rags, things like that. The Breach Tool Cobra pull-through is really nice for 5.56, nice heavy-ended weight there to log all the way through your barrel, and with that Cobra, it gives you the ability to get the brass bushing and the cleanliness of the cloth through the barrel. The casing of the kit splits open into 3. You have your left-hand portion that has sort of I guess, elastic banding to put all your different pieces of equipment in there. There's the 2 tools that really do help with that breach, and I cannot emphasize enough how useful that tool is. Instead of sticking your pinky finger in there, you know, you've got your inspecting officer sticking his finger in there trying to get all that grub. These tools are able to get that stuff out of there without having the cuts on your fingers and smelling like CLP all day. And yeah, not quite really suited for the breach, but there you go. And the kit also gives you the little spare heads, which is really nice, and you should strongly go check out their website. They've got a ton of really cool stuff. Of course, coming from the UK, veteran-owned, specifically used for military application, but there's nothing stopping you from using this kind of system in your own rifle setup at home. I had a really good cleaning session with this equipment to clean up the C7 after the range day, and it helped significantly in getting to all those nooks and crannies that you wouldn't normally be able to get to with standard cleaning kits that you get issued today. So please go check out the website. Link is in the description box below, including the comments section. And of course, if you want to go watch that video of how the tools work, go check it out. Thanks, Breach Tool. Let's get back to the range. Here we see one of our officers competing in the test with a timer starting, and the first portion is to load the magazines into your vest. From there, he's then going to place a magazine into the weapon system, make ready, and proceed forward to the first engagement. Once he gets this position, he is in the standing position, and he will be firing 2 rounds in lane 2 and 2 rounds in lane 3. Placing his safety catch off and transitioning up to the kneeling position at lanes 4. 2 rounds on the right-hand side of the obstacle, and 2 rounds on the left. Notice how he has to change magazines, as the staff has strategically measured the number of rounds in the rifle's magazines to allow you to have to transition mags and do a reload. Now progressing up to lane 6, where he goes into the prone position and 2 more rounds. Remember, this is being timed. Now from lane 7, 8, and 9, 2 rounds at each target. Once again, doing another mag change. And proceeding on with 2 rounds at each target. Weapon is empty, magazine is dropped, staff follow to the unload point, and the timer stops. So as you can see, it's not really a complex range, but it definitely is not what we're used to. We as an artillery gunners don't really do this kind of drill often. It's practice makes perfect. It is all muscle memory and hand-eye coordination. Of course, on top of that is safety, ensuring that the troops are doing the drills appropriately, making sure that everything is done safe. Now, one thing to consider in being timed in an event like this is what happens when you make errors. It's fine doing it all quickly, but what happens if you don't actually hit the target? Well, if you don't hit the target, you actually get time added to your time. Each round that was missed in this scenario was 10 seconds added to your overall time. The great part about this sort of adventure was it was giving some competitive edge to other units in the brigade that were joining us, including the infantry, which surprisingly enough, the artillery won the day. Now, there weren't a huge amount of infantry that showed up. We only had about 3 or 4 infantrymen did show up. But they're experienced, seasoned officers, so we were expecting them to kick our butts. But actually, the artillery took the prize of the day. And well done to our sergeant, who did a fantastic job of doing the obstacle course very quickly and accurately, on top of, 2 other ranges which we did, which we actually did some really fun clay pigeon shooting and also some balloon shoots to give us some reaction snap shooting, which was really, really fun as well, to give sort of, some short exposures that you could engage, that you don't have time to aim on really closely, especially with those backup iron sights that we were given as we took off the Elcans to make it more challenging. Of course, it's not all work, right? There is some play, and we're able to blow up some balloons to set up for the target. It's actually a lot of fun, just try to see if people could actually put the balloons to the targets without either popping them or them floating away. But we had some fun trying to set up these targets. It's something we don't normally do. It was good morale for us, in all honesty. Normally we're just pasting up little stickers over the top of Figure 11 targets. But now it is time for me to show you my best run that I did on the range. But unfortunately, I, out of 16 points, only hit 10 targets, and I quickly realized afterwards why this was. Looking at my range post, which is the front aperture of the BIUS, or backup iron sights, it was rotated all the way down, and I did not notice this prior to going onto the range, which meant that when I was aiming, I was actually aiming way too high, and I should have noticed this when we did just an initial snap shoot at the beginning. I noticed that the rounds that I was firing were about 6 to 7 inches at 25 meters to the target, and I was shooting up to 100 to 75 to 50 meters. They weren't hitting the target. I think a lot of the reason why was because I was totally aiming way too high. And of course, if I had set my aperture at the front properly at the beginning, I would have been doing probably a lot better and not lost, quite a bit of time there. That's 50 seconds of time that unfortunately I was never going to get back. So I did really good time of 117, but unfortunately due to those misses, it didn't go as well as I had wanted it to go for the rest of the day. I should have noticed those sights. A lesson for everyone: make sure you check your front aperture so it's not wound all the way down like mine was. And I think the reason why they wound it all the way down is because it can sometimes obscure the C79 Elcan when you're looking through it, depending on your eye relief and things like that. So something to be aware of. But here we go. Let's take a look at my best run and see how it goes.
6.
Inspection. Clear. Woo!
So there you have it. I was pretty happy with that result, in all honesty. You know, being able to transition from obstacle to obstacle safely and still at a fairly rapid pace, and actually at least suppressing the targets, even if I potentially missed a few, for whatever reason it may be. It was still a lot of fun. I'd like to thank all the course staff and my unit staff for setting it up, and of course everyone for attending. It was a really good time. If you want to get involved in things like this, of course, go check out the rest of my page. You know, there's other things that I've done with the Canadian Forces experiences you can go check out. And of course, if you want to go see any other content that I have in the future, make sure you click that little bell by the subscribe button so you can be notified of any content that comes up. And check out that description box for that Breach Tool link if you want to go check out their website, including all my social media and other things like Patreon and PayPal, which I can't thank you enough for supporting me. It really means a lot to me, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. All the best. Bye-bye.